red right here. Go ahead.
Paul's very red right here. All right, folks, welcome to the latest episode of the Harold McBasketball Show, following our part one of the Eastern Conference playoffs. I'm your gracious host, as always, Harold McBasketball, along with my co-host, I know ball Paul. Paul, I asked this probably about an hour ago, but how are you?
I'm still doing great.
Love
Uh,
it, love it.
yeah, not much more
Well,
to say. We were just talking about how giddy we are for the playoffs to start.
ooh,
Obviously, right now,
intentional pun with the Thunder there, our one seed.
what did I say? Oh,
You're,
giddy.
you're very
Oh,
giddy for the playoffs. Cut that out, actually. Maybe we'll
yeah, censor that. But yeah, no, the Pelicans and Kings are now underway. What do you think, Harry? Who are you leaning? I think we both have the same pick here, right? Maybe
maybe. Well, I asked for my pick for 1-8 or for Kings Pelicans.
for Kings Pelicans, the game
I
that's
mean, like, God, this sucks. I'm gonna do my brief Pelicans monologue right now because I've been super hot on the Pelicans all season. I love this team. I think their roster construction was absolutely beautiful. I think I think talent wise, like they're one of the better teams in the league with like McCollum, Ingram, Zion, and then like they've also got like Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Alvarado's a dog, Valanciunas is super useful. I love this team. But Zion's hurt now, which sucks, and it ruins everything. It ruins all of the takes from this year. He was so good. He dropped 40 in the first play-in game. Felt like they were totally going to beat the Lakers down the stretch there. They had just started this masterful comeback to tie up the game. Zion was killing them. They couldn't stop him. Lakers offense was sputtering. And then Zion gets hurt, which is very sad. Kind of a classic Pelicans story. So I love this team. I'm going to ride them super hard again next year. I think they're going to be awesome next year. I still think this was like very much their coming out party with that Lakers game, especially because New Orleans doesn't get a ton of nationally televised games even with Zion. But I think the Kings are going to win. Like you've got Ingram who's still coming off an injury, still on a bit of a minutes restriction. McCollum wasn't great the other night, and then Zion's hurt. Kings also looked really good, so I think the Kings will get the win tonight. But I'm sad to say it because I love this Pelicans team and I'm fucking bummed. They were incredible this year.
I think you picked the Warriors to beat them though. Wait, what am I saying? You picked the Lakers, but that's understandable.
Yeah, I picked the Lakers to win, which ended up being the right call, and then I had the Pelicans then beating the Warriors.
Right.
Got Pelicans lock up the eighth seed, and I would still pick them now if Zion was healthy, but obviously they're without their best player, so that changes things.
I'll take a moment to say that I think I went 1 for 4 on my picks. Absolutely horrendous. I mean, the silver lining was that it felt like I was kind of right about the Pelicans beating the Lakers up until, Zion got hurt.
Yeah, I will say during that entire Lakers Pelicans game, I was like, I've been riding the Pelicans so much this season. Like, why not pick them? They look like the better team. I've been hyping them up all year. I should have picked them. The Lakers pick was still right technically, but I think the Pelicans were the better team. Like, I think that probably was the pick.
Yeah.
Like, Zion was the best player on the floor. I was worried that like 80s defense would kind of slow down Zion and kind of ruin what the Pelicans have going, but no one could stop Zion. Zion was impossible to stop during that play-in game. So I'm even more hyped now on the Pelicans than I ever was before. It's just sad to see Zion get hurt because God, if they could have like gotten the A seed and going against the Thunder, I would have made atrocious takes. I completely would have taken the Pelicans, but that all changes now because I don't think they're going to win tonight. And even if they do, like Zion's got a hamstring injury, which tends to take a couple of weeks to get over. It's not a catastrophic injury or anything like that, but hamstrings do take time in this league.
Yeah. No, for a second there, the Pelicans, Zion was so dominant.
So dumb.
Obviously CJ struggled, and I think some of their flaws. I mean, they are a deep team, and Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Alvarado, great pieces there, but I think they do have a hole at their center position. They were kind of playing Larry Nance Jr. late in the game, and he struggled to defend and rebound over AD. I was saying they should have had Val out there, but Val presents, his own set of challenges and flaws as kind of a bigger, slower, kind of, defensively limited option there. So, I think they have to upgrade in a few spots. But I think Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, especially as kind of pieces going forward, are awesome. Alvarado showed, heart as he tends to do. But yeah, I'm definitely hot on the Pelicans going forward, but I'll always kind of doubt Ingram and Zion's ability to stay healthy, which was something I was saying throughout this season. And it was actually the season that they were able to stay pretty healthy. Um, but can they do it twice in a row? I don't know. I don't
And
think so.
it and it totally caught up with them at the end where it's like they're healthy most of the year. Well, like Ingram did get hurt at the end of the year to where that playing game was only his second game back from injury, and like he was still on a minutes restriction. Like you saw him sit a lot of the fourth quarter. Zion gets hurt at the end, so it's almost like their classic demons, which is like the injury bug, just like came back during the play in and like sucks, but like that is something they have been dealing with a lot. And I think I totally agree. Whereas I think the entire roster is set with this Pelicans team from guard down to power forward. I think they're super deep everywhere right now, and I love it. But as much Valanciunas is great, but I do think there are some defensive challenges with him, and like Lakers bad matchup for him. So obviously he didn't play a ton.
Mhm.
Anthony Davis, I don't think would have worked out great. So I think it was fine to go with Nance, but obviously not a great solution there. I think that's probably the one position they need to try to resolve this offseason. I would love to see them just get some kind of two-way center, like just get like a rebounder, shot blocker, and get you like 25 minutes a night. If the Hawks like make Clint Capella available, like maybe that's an answer. I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't love it either, but I think there's something there. I think they can find somebody. So I'm hopeful they can find a center who can kind of just help out in that rotation when there's those tougher defensive matchups at the center position. But still a great season for them. I'm still very proud. Um, but it is like, I don't know, it's a little hard because like I really thought they were gonna have like the sixth seed locked up and they just like slid a little bit at the end with Ingram hurt, had more injury struggles in the play-in. Ultimately, it looks like they may be out of the playoffs, which is like sucks after having like such a good season to find yourself essentially like struggling to get the eighth seed. So sad for the Pelicans, but we can move on.
Yeah, I think that it was a beautiful kind of relationship you had there from the start, from the preseason.
I know,
And
I know, I know. That was my darling. Your darling is still in there. We'll talk about them later, but you were obviously a big Mavs guy, and like they were looking awesome right now. We're not gonna get them yet. Let's start one seed right now. Let's start
yeah,
Thunder against whoever gets the AC. Is it gonna be Pelicans or Kings? Keep in mind that that AC could change depending on tonight's game goes. But I don't know how are you feeling about that series. The Thunder get the one seed, which is like crazy. We're hot on the Thunder, but I think we had the Thunder maybe like you know, fifth seed, maybe sixth seed. We're like the Thunder gonna be awesome, young, up and coming. They've got Chet now. Great young core between like Giddy, SGA, J-Dub, Chet. This team has got super high potential.
yeah.
Don't think any of us saw them getting the one seed. That is absolutely insane.
I
I,
I did not. I think you did have them pretty high though. I think
might
I was more in the 5-6. You were more in the
I might have had them
three.
four. I might have had them four, but like
Yeah.
one is like ridiculous. Like they're finishing above the Nuggets.
No, yeah, truly commendable and yeah, it is crazy that we're sitting here. Um I I think a series against the Kings would be very interesting. I'm assuming here, I assume the Kings are gonna beat the Pelicans tonight, right now. Maybe we check the score real quick.
I was literally just looking it up. Currently, Kings are up five. So it's
Okay.
currently end of the first quarter, 24-19. Kings are up, competitive game. But I'm going to make the same assumption. I'm going to make the assumption Pelicans lose to the Kings here. And then vice versa, the Pelicans win. Like, I'm definitely not going to pick them because I assume Zion's missing serious time. So let's kind of assume Kings here, but,
Yeah.
up in the air a little bit.
Man, I think a Kings series would go far. I mean, I think I keep doubting the Thunder. And I know it's stupid too because I think Chet and more so SGA are like certified future studs. SGA is an MVP candidate now, and I think, his time will come to win it. But I still just see this team as so raw, so young. Um, and I've always been pretty hot on the Kings. Um, even though I picked them to lose against the
Yeah.
Warriors, but
Interestingly enough, they are 50-50 this year, with the Kings taking 2 games, Thunder taking 2 games against each other. So regular season, they've been fairly evenly matched, which is worth noting. Continue though.
that is interesting. Yeah, all that to say that this is kind of a veteran squad. Weird to call the Kings a veteran squad, but
All
against
right. Crazy how things change, but yeah, they're there now.
I see this series going probably to seven. Um, I see Sabonis kind of not destroying Chet, but like I think he's gonna just it's kind of gonna be a maybe a learning moment for Chet. That being said, SGA, I think is so good that he's gonna cause so many problems for the Kings. I think I would ultimately lean for the sake of the podcast, I might want to take the Kings, but I
Do
think
it.
that
Do it for the pod. Come on. Come on. Give me your actual take and then do your Kings take. Because I'm gonna take the Thunder here.
okay, let me meditate on this. I I don't know. My heart says Kings in seven. I don't know what it is. I think I just sleep on the Thunder so hard. Even they've constantly proved me wrong. And I think SGA is so fucking good and amazing.
So good.
But the rest of the team just still hasn't convinced me.
The team is still super young right now, which is always like the classic concern with like some of these kind of like high seeded young teams where it's like, yeah, you ball in the regular season. You've got all these young guys who essentially don't miss games. Like Chet played every single game,
Hmm.
and which is amazing because he missed his entire rookie year. Slight concerns with injuries. Now played everything. So sometimes there's a concern where it's like, are these young teams like really this good? Or were they just willing to not rest any of their superstars and then playoffs come around? And maybe this isn't a real 1 seed. Maybe they are more like a 3 or 4 seed. So I do expect a competitive series here. I think Sabonis is like an insane mismatch for this Thunder King series that I think will make it interesting because
Yeah.
Sabonis is just like huge, super dominant down low. Chet's very skinny, amazing defender though, great shot blocker. I don't think he's going to be barbecue chicken by any means for Sabonis, but I do expect Sabonis to have a very big series and he might have the best stat lines of anyone on the Kings, including Fox or even Keegan Murray, who's been awesome. Keegan Murray's like sneaky one of the best 3-point shooters in the league right now, which is so sick. He's such an incredible player. Very slept on. He's kind of a quiet player, not the flashiest, but like super awesome player. Monk will be back for that series. He's gonna be sixth man of the year. The Kings have a very competitive roster right now. I think I still lean towards the Thunder because I mean, like, not a great reason, but like they're the 1 seed. I think they're the 1 seed for a reason. This team's awesome. SGA MVP candidate here. They have like a very true big three between him, J-W, who's been amazing, took another leap this year. Chet, who'd be literally rookie of the year any other year that Wembanyama was not also a rookie. So I think this Thunder team is legit, and I think they're going to get past the Kings here. But I think they are susceptible to get out early as a 1 seed because they are such a young team. So I think I'd pick them to beat the Kings here, but I would expect like a very competitive series. And I expect them to have a very hard round 2 matchup against either the Clippers or the Mavs. Not sure if I'd pick them to beat either of those teams. So they're the 1 seed, but they're not a 1 seed I'm super confident in. Like I don't think anyone expects them to cakewalk to the finals.
Yeah. I I regrettably will pick the Kings in seven.
Let's go. Good for the pod. Let's go.
Yeah.
But but
But
yeah, I'm like
I
sorry.
genuinely no, I genuinely do think so. I'm not actually even saying it for the pod. I was saying who did I say last video? I was kind of taking them for the pod, wink wink, but who was it? Who cares, I guess. But
I think it was
the Magic.
the Magic were your pick, yeah.
The Magic is kind of a wink wink in seven. I think the Caps will win in seven. I think genuinely the Kings, I'm leaning more towards them in seven, just as a more experienced, cohesive group. But man, the Thunder, no pun intended, are electric and they run fast and they seem to have such wonderful chemistry. those guys just, yeah, they play such a fun brand of basketball. But I think the Kings are going to bruise and um, just maybe out physical them and kind of, yeah, that's what my heart says.
Yeah, and it's a super interesting matchup for that reason. Because like the Thunder have no playoff experience at this point. This is really their first playoff run. So with that is always like you're always a little worried about these, teams who are playing the playoffs for the first time. They don't have the experience. The game does change a little bit. The defense steps up a bit. The Kings maybe not the freshest playoff team. Like they went on like one of the longest playoff droughts ever, but they were in it last year and they looked legit. They had a really good season. Um, and like Sabonis is like legitimately such a hard matchup for the Thunder. Like they just don't have a big whose size is comparable to Sabonis's. Like I think he's gonna be like so dominant down low. I think he's already like an absolute freak when it comes to rebounding. Like he probably averaged 14 rebounds a game this year.
Yeah.
And love Chet, great defender, great shot blocker, not a great rebounder at center. Like I think Sabonis is really going to eat on the offensive glass. So I think that's going to make it super competitive. Like I said, I'm going to take the Thunder here, but I think the Kings are going to be competitive. And I don't think I'm going to take the Thunder in round two. So even though they're one seed, I think they are one of the weaker one seeds we've seen.
And like you said, yeah, their big man depth is sorely lacking. I
Yeah,
think
like
Dylan Williams might be the next guy up.
Yeah, it's like the bad J Dub is like the backup center. Like you can't have him play against Sabonis. Like what happens when Chet comes out of the game? Like their backups big men are gonna absolutely eaten alive against Sabonis. Like it's gonna be a disaster.
Yeah, but it'll without a doubt be a fun series. It'll be interesting to see how the Thunder kind of react to their first playoff experience. Sacramento is quite the atmosphere to play in. So
Being
um
team.
yeah, man, just talking it out, I'm so excited to
Yeah.
binge all these.
Yeah, and don't forget they're amazing last year. Like they're like the third seed last year. Strength of schedule was on their side last year. The West has gotten better, but this is still like a very legitimate Western Conference team. Like this is a great 1-8 matchup. This is like a prime upset matchup. So we'll see what happens here. But I think this is one of the best series in the playoffs for the first round. So super excited for this one. Going to be watching it very closely. We'll talk more about it as it unfolds, but
Will be hilarious if the Pelicans win tonight.
I would love that. I don't even care. If Zion's out, I'll still take the Pelicans. I'll
Okay.
I'll ride or die with this team. I've invested too much in them.
I respect that. I respect that.
All
Uh
right. 2-7
2-7, which is the Nuggets
Nuggets.
versus
Lakers.
the Lakers. Not much to say for me here.
Sweep again. Lakers are done. They're fucking
Me, yeah, maybe the Lakers take a game, but
maybe.
maybe.
Maybe. They're 4-15 against the Nuggets in the last three seasons. Like the Nuggets are just fucking better. So maybe they take a game. Maybe they take two. Probably not.
Probably not.
Um, no, no, I think the Nuggets just fucking kill them here.
Yeah. I I get some sort of sadistic pleasure watching Jokic destroy AD. Just it's that
Yeah,
like
no.
one-legged buzzer beater
He's
last
gonna,
year.
he's gonna
And
do his fucking classic, just like behind the back, fucking fading off one leg, shot clock at zero, just like
yeah.
in AD's face, and like their only close game. And all the Lakers fans are gonna be like, wow, this was the closest sweep we've ever seen. I know it was a sweep, but like it felt like a 7-game series. And we are like, shut up.
Mhm.
Y'all just can't compete. The Nuggets are just so much better. I just don't think the Lakers talent competes with the Nuggets. I think they're just so cohesive. We talked about the Knicks chemistry in the last video. I think the Knicks have the second best chemistry in the league. I think the Nuggets have by far the best chemistry in the league. They've got a beautiful team, just shooters all around Jokic. Jokic, best player in the league. Don't think the Lakers can compete. They're also just too old. They get tired.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we can move on, but officially I'll say Denver in five. I'll be nice to the
But
Lakers.
you don't want to devil's advocate this? You don't want to take the Lakers here? Come on, for the
No,
podcast.
even as a
For the
devil's advocate,
content, come on.
even for the content, I just can't. I hate the Lakers. I so respect LeBron. I really do like AD as a player, but I just hate this team. I hate that
I
they made the Western Conference Finals.
it's such a weird thing because I love both of them. Like I love LeBron. I think he's one of the best players ever, maybe the best ever. AD's amazing. I think he's fucking incredible. I think when he was playing on the Pelicans, he was like arguably the best player in the league. I love both of them. I just hate the construction of this roster. It's like I just
And
think that they're just not deep enough. I just think they've got so many scrubs playing, and it's just like not gonna be competitive in the playoffs. They're giving so many minutes to guys like Torian Prince. Cam Reddish was like starting for them in the middle of the season, and I was maybe one of like my worst draft predictions ever was saying that he was gonna be awesome. But this team just doesn't have very much going on for them outside of AD and LeBron. D'Lo has been like a very pleasant surprise this year. He's been awesome. Shooting's been great. Scoring's been great. Reeves has been solid. He was a little overhyped, but still a very solid player to have on the team. But outside of that, it's not much. It's like Hachimura's okay. And then beyond that, it's like it's not a lot of guys who would get minutes on any other team. So I just don't think they're deep enough. And like, yeah, the Nuggets will handle them. I'll also give them 5. I think 5 is fair. I think the Lakers are a little better than last year.
agreed. Yeah. No, really anything to add there. I guess I understand why Cam Reddish was such a hot prospect. I think we've talked about a video idea of guys that like it makes no sense how they didn't work out. I think he's like top of that list. He has it all. But that's content for another time, you
I'm
know.
still holding out. I still think the breakout is coming. It might be this playoff series. This might be the Cam Reddish playoff series.
Yeah, Cam Reddish playoff series put it down. Like I have a soft spot for like Torian Prince. Always loved D'Angelo Russell. Still hate the Lakers.
And like, yeah, and like I kind of put Torian Prince on the hot seat there, but he's very sneakily been a 40% three-point shooter this season on like 5 attempts a game. He's been really good this year. He's a great role player to have,
yeah,
but the roster just doesn't do it for me. I don't think they're good enough. I think they're a little too old. It is what it is.
yeah. Sucks they have to meet the Nuggets because I think they would have, competed with basically every other team.
Yeah.
Um,
They broke the script. They're supposed to lose to the Pelicans, and then we get Pelicans with Zion against the Nuggets. Awesome series.
yeah,
Lakers Thunder. Don't know who would pick there. 80 would eat, and the Lakers have way more playoff experience. That would have been incredible. But
yeah,
no, they ruined it. Zion got hurt and they won, and now it's all broken. Now they get fucking killed by the Nuggets round one, and now the Kings get in the playoffs. We were gonna be awesome to watch, but I'm still sad about the Pelicans. This is me just ranting. Okay,
yeah.
fine, fine. 3-6, three
Three
six. All
six,
right.
3-6.
Interesting one. Interesting one. This is the one that I've waffled the most on. Like I've kind of struggled to pick a side here. Whereas
Not
you got like the
me.
Timberwolves who yeah, all right, chill down. I think the Timberwolves are like my 10th seed this year. This was also one of my worst takes ever. They've been so good this year. Um yeah, the Timberwolves had an awesome regular season. Their defense is super legit. Gobert is very much back to being a defensive player of the year. He's going to win it this year. Still as good as ever back when he was on the Jazz. Anthony Edwards is amazing. Karl Anthony Towns is back. The team has depth. The team has been awesome, which is insane to say for the Timberwolves. And then you've got the Suns who have struggled, but Bradley Beal is technically back and playing and healthy. And then you've got Booker and KD who are amazing. And that's kind of makes it hard. It's like, do you take this like Timberwolves team who's like really young, up and coming, great defense, great players, or do you take the team that might have the two best players in the series between Kevin Durant and Booker? And it makes it really difficult. So I don't know. Give me your take and let me kind of bounce off of it because I think this is one of the most interesting series in the first round.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it is for sure an interesting series. Um, I do stand I stand firmly in the Timberwolves camp, and I I expect them to win in 6 games or 7 games. Um, yeah, the thing is, like you pointed out, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are potentially the two best players on either team. I mean, I think Anthony Edwards makes a pretty good case for potentially even being the best guy out there. Like
So take it that might be true.
I think I could argue that he's the best guy out of those three right now. But Devin Booker and KD have the playoff experience. They are just killers, and I don't think it's out of the it's definitely possible that the Suns are able to pull this one out. Um, but I don't know, man. I really I am a an ant truther till the day I die. I just think that like his stats don't the stats don't do it justice. He is, really one of the maybe top five guys in the league right now. I'm willing to say that. I just think he plays such a great brand of basketball. He's tough, he's mean, and he's going to show the Suns why he's the alpha, he's the top guy. Um and yeah, I've always loved how they constructed this roster. Cat is someone that I'm still kind of iffy on, and I just hope he doesn't try to do too much because he just needs to make the most of his chances and let I think Ant lead the way. But I don't know. I'm kind of ranting at this point, but yeah, Timberwolves in 6.
Interesting take.
Yeah,
Fun thing to throw out that I looked at, which is kind of crazy. I didn't realize this until I checked it right now. Suns 3-0 against the Timberwolves this year. Fucking crazy.
interesting.
Also one of those things where it's like I just wouldn't put too much stock into it. The playoffs are kind of a different thing. And they also have injuries where it's like Cat was out for a while, Beal was out for a while. So we've got these teams like really meeting for truly for the first time in the playoffs here. Super interesting matchup. It's like I think the Wolves have like really proved it this year that they are a super legitimate team. I I think I probably would lean towards them, but I think it's so close that I think I'll take the Suns here for the pod. And also just because like then if the Suns win, I can be like, I had them winning. Timberwolves win, I can be like, oh, I would have taken them. I think it's close though. I don't know. I think I might take the Suns here. I think one like the most interesting parts of it is that the Suns are like super weak at center right now. They've got Nurkic starting there, who can like totally be exposed by other teams who have like really awesome starting centers. But as great as like Gobert is, it's like I just don't think he's really gonna expose him in the paint like that. And obviously dominates down there, so like he'll get his. Cat's an amazing big man, but he's honestly more of a perimeter guy at this point. So I could see a world where it's like, although the Suns do have these massive weaknesses, that the Wolves just aren't quite built to expose them. And maybe because of that, it just turns into a guy off where it's like you've got Anthony Edwards scoring the lights out, but then you have Book and Durant going crazy. And I think the offensive firepower just might be enough from the Suns to carry them for this. We'll see. We'll see what version of Durant we get. Because I do remember a series happened recently where it was like Brooklyn Nets versus Celtics first round. I believe this was 2 years ago. And the Celtics just like destroyed them, locked up Durant. Like he didn't play that great in that series, but that was also kind of the end of that Nets era. So we'll see with that, but I do see a world where like the offensive firepower for the Suns like could take over enough to outplay the offense that the Timberwolves do have. So for fun, and because I think it legitimately could happen, I am going to take the Suns for this one.
I think yeah, it very legitimately could happen.
Also, wait, let me give a mini shout out. Mini
Please.
shout out. Grayson Allen, fucking sick shooter. He's been insane this year. He's got a huge contract extension. I think it was like 4 years, 72 million, something along those lines. But he's been incredible. So like this Suns team that really felt like they went all in on this like big three of like Beal hasn't been great this year, hasn't really played. Book, Durant, they've been good. And like Nurk's solid addition, but then they've also got Grayson Allen. So they do at least have like one other guy who can produce offense for them. And he's this perfect off-ball shooter for this team. And also adds like a little bit of grittiness that's like really nice for this Suns team. So I think that's a sneaky addition. And like if he shoots well in the playoffs, like that is going to give the Suns so much in this series.
Agreed. I've always kind of liked Grayson Allen. I think that's the contrarian in me. Yeah, I expect this series to be physical. I think it's going to get mean. We saw Beal and Ant already kind of get chippy, but I think Grayson being the aggravator that he is, KD and Book are mean. They're shit talkers. Ant's a shit talker, so it's going to be super exciting.
It's gonna be
Um,
awesome.
yeah, the Sun on paper they have more offensive firepower, but I think the scale tips towards the Timberwolves because of how good they are defensively. Um, and just I always say that Gobert is way better at stepping up on screens than he's given credit for, and his length contesting shooters. Jaden McDaniels, I think, is such a special defender, and ultimately it's the cohesiveness in which they play the Timberwolves on defense, and I think that's just going to be um, such a tough kind of hill for the Suns, who I think as much offensive firepower as they have and potential offensively as they have, I think they still really haven't found um, an offensive system or kind of that cohesion as a group to overcome that Timberwolves defense because they're suffocating the Wolves. And they're tough. Yeah, like Conley, McDaniels. Um, those are awesome, gritty guys um, that I like.
Yeah, I will say my closing thoughts are I think the Suns team can get past the Timberwolves, but considering that the team that wins here is going to go on to play the Nuggets, I'd almost prefer the Timberwolves to be the team that gets past them because like I'd love to see how this Gobert acquisition works with, playing against Jokic. Because that was almost one of the biggest ideas behind it is that you need someone who can play defense against Jokic to get out of the West. So the Timberwolves are like a really interesting matchup against the Nuggets. Whereas a team like the Suns, although like I think they might have the offensive firepower to get past the Wolves round one, I think they would get absolutely smoked by the Nuggets because like you can't have Nurkic guard Jokic. It's gonna be a disaster. So like I think the Nuggets can get a I'm sorry, I think the Suns get a round one, but I think they're a bad matchup against the Nuggets. So for NBA content, I would love to see the Wolves get past the Suns because I think that'd be a super interesting round two matchup, Wolves versus Nuggets. But we'll see. They have to get past the Suns first.
We'll see. Lock it in. I'm saying Wolves in six. You're saying Suns in seven?
No, I'm gonna go Suns in six because I can't pick them in seven. I gotta have them winning at home court.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. That would be at
Let's
home.
do that. Yeah, and let's part two this because obviously last series is gonna be Clippers Mavs, which is gonna be an awesome one to talk about. We need more than 5 minutes to talk about that, I think.
Let's do it. Be right back.
All right, we're back. We got one series left to talk about. Maybe the most interesting. We've got tons of good round one matchups, but this one's 4-5 Clippers Mavericks. Super interesting one. One I'm very torn on. Both these teams are awesome. I think both of them have a super good chance if they get out of round one, which one of them has to pretty much go all the way. Both these teams feel very complete. They're both super hot right now. And notably, one of them is Paul's preseason darling, the Dallas Mavericks, who have been incredible since the trade deadline. I'll let
Yeah.
you start, Paul, since this is pretty much your team. How are you feeling about this series?
Um, yeah, no, this series has been keeping me up at night. I've been, sleepless nights just thinking how it's gonna go. Like you said, the Mavericks were a team I was very hot on in the preseason. I felt like I was kind of eating my words as the season kind of kicked. Well, no, they started off quite hot, then they kind of settled a bit, and then the trade deadline happened, and now I really see them as a truly complete team. I One of my favorite takes, and I had a bunch of bad takes in the preseason, so I'm not even trying to say, but I did
Who
have a
cares?
good one in there. What's that?
Who cares? We're talking about the wins right now. Take a victory lap.
Yeah. Victory lap. Dante Exum has actually been a nice piece for them, and he hit that game winner against someone I forget. So he hit a game winner. It was sick.
Yeah, who cares? It was absolutely incredible. And
Rockets,
then
man.
I will slightly eat my words for hitting on the Dante Exum acquisition this offseason.
I don't
Not
think.
fully. He hasn't played a ton. I'm not fully walking it back, but like the game winner was sick. So we'll see what happens from here.
Yeah, I don't think you hated too hard on him on video, which is good. I think you were
Oh,
just like, all
I'm
right.
pretty sure I did. I'm like very certain that I was very rude to Dante Exum,
And
who I know.
listen,
Yeah,
it's not like he's been crazy, but
and I know he's a dedicated listener of the podcast. So like, listen, Dante, if you want to come on at some point, like, we'll hash it out then. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what you do in the playoffs.
cool little comeback story for him. But yeah, I mean, Gafford has been such a nice fit. Lively was kind of the story at the start of the season, and now he's, a bit of an afterthought. I think he's been dealing with some injuries it'll be nice to have him as a backup five. But Gafford, I think, as expected, has been a really nice fit defensively and as just like an efficient, like around the rim finisher. PJ Washington is a nice spark plug. Maybe getting rid of Grant was kind of a addition by subtraction. And then,
Yeah.
Dante, Tim Hardaway, you've got some nice pieces surrounding a dominant duo, an unlikely kind of duo, two guys that are a bit, hot-tempered or, they're moody guys, but they seem to get along pretty well and fit pretty well offensively, chemistry wise, and they're both basketball purists, so it's kind of awesome seeing them click on that level and just yeah, they both play such an incredible brand of basketball. Um, I think I've also been on the show saying that the Clippers are kind of my dark horse out of the West. The ones I think are
Tough spot for you right here. You've been loving both these teams all season. And granted, like both have been great. Both are like excellent picks to be like these teams are awesome. So tough spot to be in with them, facing off round one, pick your true darling, but awesome series. Like insane we get to see them play round one because they're both incredible right now.
my big hesitancy with the Clippers is Kawhi's injury. I'm gonna look up what he's dealing with specifically. He's ramping
Yeah.
up. He should play the
Yeah.
first game. That still worries me though, because Kawhi is someone that you want fully healthy, and we saw, I think just last year, how a 7 game series, that amount of play in such a short span, he struggled to deal with. Now he's had a much healthier season, and we've seen, kind of old Kawhi back in a sense, but that's very worrisome for me.
Yeah. To harp a little bit more on the Mavericks, we're talking Clippers. I love what they did at the deadline. I think so does everybody else, but super interesting because I think there was always this narrative where it's like Luka's so good, he's such a good passer. Surround Luka with shooters. And I feel like the Mavericks kind of did the opposite, where they're like, Luka and Kyrie are both so good at scoring. They can pretty much both drop 40 a night on offense, like in the playoffs, to where we kind of just need like defenders around them. So instead of like going and getting shooters, they're like, we're gonna go guys who can play defense, guys who can run the pick and roll with them, and guys who are like huge lob threats. So essentially, next to them starting right now, they've got Derek Jones Jr., insane lob threat, great defender, PJ Washington, insane dunker, also a really good defender, and then Gafford, who's like been throwing down insane alley-oops since joining the team, and also super stout defender. And it's a super interesting roster construction that's so different from the rest of the league, where it's like you just have these two insane offensive players. The rest of it is just like ridiculous defense and lob catching. But you have two of the most gifted offensive players and passers in the league here, to where that's really all you need. And I love it. They're so exciting to watch on offense. Like they're a little bit like a new era of like Lob City. Like not quite like it's not the same level of like having Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, but everyone out there is like a beyond elite athlete to where the offense is so exciting to watch. Beyond the fact that just like Luka and Kyrie create magic every time they take a jump shot. And the team is like so exciting right now. I think they absolutely nailed it at the trade deadline. They're super cool, super fun to watch right now. I think everyone's rooting for them. They're such a fun team. I love this Mavericks team. It's very hard not to root for them. It's very hard not to pick them to win the series.
Right.
Uh, but it's also like such a hard series when going against the Clippers, which is this like totally stacked team. Goes out against James Harden. You still got Paul George, who's amazing. Kawhi Leonard is a fucking killer in the playoffs. There is like some injury concern there, but that's really the only concern with this Clippers team. Because beyond that, like even outside of that big three, like they're super deep. Like they're still pulling Westbrook off the bench. Norman Powell has been like a lights out 3-point shooter this year and just like great scorer. I think one of the best sixth men in the league. And like Zubac is like super solid at center. Like this team is awesome. And like Plumlee backup center, I think it's one of the deepest teams in the league also, like beyond just like the insane star power they have between Harden, PG, Kawhi. Insane series. I think it's insane that they're going round one. Um, it's really hard to pick. I kind of just lean towards the Mavericks because I just love what they're doing right now, but I don't know. And it kind of goes back to the original take where it's like, I don't really know who's going to win this right now. I think I'm leaning towards the Mavericks right now, but I think whoever wins this has like an awesome shot of beating the Thunder, the eighth seed in the next round. I think I'd probably pick them to win that. And
Yeah,
then they would go on to play, probably the Nuggets round two. And I think even there they'd have a good chance of winning because it's not the Nuggets' best season. Like they're finishing in third place here. So oh, sorry, second place. I take that back. But I just think it's a super interesting first round matchup. And I think it'd be super interesting the rest of the way. Like, I think either of these teams could make the finals. So it's so hard to pick. They're both so exciting on offense. We have tons of good first round matchups. Like we've been absolutely blessed with a matchup we have been given this year in the playoffs. But I don't know. I just love the Mavericks right now. I think their chemistry is a little bit better than the Clippers right now.
I think it definitely is. And like you said, there's Luca magic, there's Kyrie magic. This team has such aura. Um,
The aura is insane right now on this team. And like not to say the Clippers don't have aura. They obviously have insane aura with like Harden, PG, Kawhi, but I don't know. Like this Mavericks team just clicks together so nicely. And kind of like I said, it is kind of like a new rendition of Lob City, which like obviously the aura was insane with that team. So the aura
and
is crazy with this one. This team's awesome. And it might almost be like a fanboy enemy that like really want to see the Mavericks go on a playoff run right now, but this team is so awesome. And also like playoff Luca. We haven't said like playoff Luca yet, but like Luca's probably going to average like 40 points a game. He averaged 35 a game in the regular season. He's going to be ridiculous. He's going to be like very obviously the best player in the league in the playoffs this year.
yeah, especially I think he wants to solidify his MVP case. And first round against the Clippers, I think will be a beautiful opportunity to do that. Um, yeah, you were listing off the all the great defenders that surround Kyrie and Luca. Just I want to add Dante Exum to that list, and I also want to add Maxi Kleber to
Thanks.
that list.
Thanks.
Maxi
Yeah.
Kleber is kind of an
Yeah.
awesome defender, and he's been back and healthy. So, um, yeah, my heart definitely also leans Mavericks. Um, I love Kawhi, but the Clippers I think have some red flags. I think every team has their own red flags, but Harden, I always question his chemistry and his what's the word? His kind of dedication and his ability to really compete and especially as like a second, third option.
Yeah.
Um
I don't believe in playoff choking. I think Harden's going to be awesome in the playoffs.
he
Don't
choked.
think he's a playoff choker. It's my thing. I don't know. I don't think it's a real thing. I think it's fine. Um, which is like so weird because this is like we love doing our devil's advocate takes here, and this would be like the ultimate series for one of us to take Clippers, one of us to take the Mavericks. But like, I don't know, this Mavs team is just like undeniable. Like, I think you said it best, where it's just an aura thing, where like the aura is just like phenomenal for this Mavericks team. Whereas the Clippers team, like it just still has a couple of red flags. They had a couple of big losing streaks. You've got the Paul George extension that still looms large, with the possibility of Paul George being gone soon, actually. So this might be their last real chance at a playoff run, to where like it could just go south, and then like the Clippers could choose to part ways with Paul George after this season.
I just imagine that Clippers locker room is kind of uncomfortable.
Oh, it's gotta be hell, dude. It's Westbrook, Kawhi, Harden, PG. Like, I don't know. It's like Westbrook has always been someone who's like hard to get along with. Kawhi is like impossible to talk to. Harden is also kind of a mess. PG seems like the most likable guy ever. I think everyone's kind of like best friends with him. I don't think he's the problem, but I imagine it's a very difficult locker room and a lot of egos to manage there.
Yeah. And then you just kind of, there's Daniel Tice, who's a great guy, obviously, but
Celtics legend,
kind of a transplant,
German legend also.
German legend, someone I'm, kind of close to proximity wise at some points. Um, but
Absolutely.
yeah, Aura, yeah, Mavericks Aura. I take them in seven. Um, but I fully acknowledge that playoff Kawhi, if and God willing, he's able to have a healthy series. He could really cause some problems and he could take over the series. It's hard for me to see him having a full healthy playoff run.
Yeah. And like what's tough is like if Kawhi's not healthy, I think the Mavericks like obviously have the two best players in the series. Like as great as like Harden and Paul George still are, I like Luka's obviously one of the best players in the league, and I think Kyrie like still very much is. Like Kyrie is still just absolutely insane, impossible to guard. Um, he's like very capable of doing like probably like 30 points a night in the playoffs, probably like 5 rebounds, 6 assists, like ridiculous, like super well-rounded stat lines. I think they might be the two best guys in the series if Kawhi's not 100%. So I don't know. I think this Mavs team's undeniable. I just love it.
Yeah, yeah, we're definitely in the same boat. And yeah, Mavs in seven. I could even see Mavs in six. I could see
Me
Clippers
too.
winning it, but I'm taking the Mavs for
I
sure.
I think it yeah, I think again classic I'd probably say like Mavs in six just because like this goes to seven and then Clippers get home court. It's like maybe I'd probably lean Clippers at that point. So I'm gonna say Mavs wrap it up a game sooner in six. Super interesting. And then I think if they could get past the Clippers, they'd be due for a pretty crazy playoff run. Um, if you don't have any closing thoughts on Clippers Mavs, I'd love to hear just like a super premature finals take. Who do you have in it? West versus East. Who are your guys?
I mean, Celtics,
Obviously,
yeah, my heart is
we're
just,
biased. We're
yeah,
biased,
we're biased
but
and
they're also the one seed. They're also the best team in the league right now. They have
by
by
far.
by far the best Vegas odds right now is the Celtics. So not only is it a homer take, but they are like the odds-on best team to win the finals at the moment.
You know, I think the obvious choice is Celtics Nuggets, right?
Naturally.
And I would take the Celtics in probably seven. Um, and I've been on the record saying I think the Clippers are the dark horse. I think I do kind of want to rescind that. They still are a dark horse, but I think the Mavericks are officially my dark horse pick. They're the ones I think after the Nuggets are the ones that could, just somehow plow their way through the West, make it to the finals. I would still hope and pray that the Celtics could take care of business there, but um I for funskies, I might say Celtics Mavericks finals. But also, I think Celtics Nuggets is probably the more logical kind of level-headed take there. So
Yeah, I think Celtics Nuggets probably somebody Vegas's favorite. I think it's kind of like the logical choice, like probably the best team of the East and West right now. Dallas is interesting. Funny enough, for our we do a bracket with our buddies back from high school, and I also had Dallas. I had Dallas in the finals for that. So right now, it's like my setup right now is Celtics Dallas. I totally agree. Like Dallas is like the dark horse to come out of this. I'd be like pretty surprised to see a team in the finals from the West, other than like Nuggets, Dallas, and like if Dallas falls to the Clippers, maybe it's the Clippers. But I think those are kind of the picks. So I hate to agree here, but I think my pick's probably also Celtics Dallas. I think that's what I'm going to go for. I think it's a fun one. That's what I'm going to go with. They could lose. Dallas could lose round one, and I feel like an idiot, but I don't know. That's what I'm going to roll with.
yeah, out of the East, the bias I think takes over, and it's kind of hard to see any other team. Man, the Bucks, Doc, it's crazy. Doc Rivers is really what holds me back, but I still think this team. I think Damian Lillard and Giannis is like such an insane duo to think about, and
Yeah,
like,
and like playoffs too. Like both are like historically amazing playoff performers, and objectively, they have the easiest path to the finals
yeah,
because they wouldn't have to play the Celtics until the Eastern Conference Finals. They get Pacers round one, by far the easiest matchup. Maybe other than like maybe getting like the Cavs or Magic, but like still like getting to go playing against them round one is like way better than what the Celtics or Knicks have round one. So it's like very easy round one matchup. Round two would be they play let's see, it'd be Knicks or Sixers, probably have like a
right.
pretty grueling series. So that'd be super interesting. So they do have like a pretty easy path relative for the playoffs. Like the playoffs are very hard. And objectively, they're still a very good team. Like they still have a lot of pieces they had when they won the finals a few years ago. Giannis is still a top three player in the NBA. Lillard is a killer. Like he could just absolutely ball out in the playoffs. So, and that's like why they made the acquisition, which is get like another like big time scorer next to Giannis for the playoffs. So this is our first time like seeing this version of the Bucks in the playoffs, but like they're an absolutely a dark horse for the East. Like they could look very dominant.
Yeah. There's maybe I think a world where the Sixers are a dark horse, but
I think so
that's a
too.
tough path. The Knicks, as much as I love them, I just question if they really have that star power. I respect what they're doing. I think that I picked them over the Sixers, I think. But oh yeah, seeing them in the finals is hard. I think there's a timeline where the Sixers are in the final. Um unlikely, but possible. Knicks, I really don't see it. Bucks, slightly higher odds, second best odds to the Celtics, who may be my bias, but I really just I see them in the finals. I see them with a trophy in their hand. I see a banner
I see it
being
too.
added to the collection. So
Yeah, I think my East dark horse is probably the Sixers. I just really like their playoff path. It's like obviously like Knicks Sixers round one is like a pretty hard round one matchup. Like not really confident either of those teams to come out with it, but I don't know. It's like I think from there, like whichever team gets past it, like the Bucks have always had their struggles. Maybe they get past them, and then all of a sudden it's like Eastern Conference Finals, anything can happen. So I think it would lean towards 76ers for my dark horse, but the East is super interesting right now. I think the Knicks, Bucks, or Sixers are all really good choices for dark horses here. So I
yeah,
don't know. The playoffs are gonna be awesome. I'm like so stoked the playoffs are finally here. It feels like we've been waiting a while for the playoffs to actually come around. It's all set up now. The matchups are done. First round is gonna be absolutely incredible. It seems like the entire playoffs is gonna be amazing. Like all these matchups seem incredible. So I think we're due for like one of the best finals in years. So we'll have to see how it plays out, but I'm just super excited for it.
a little update. The Pelicans are up 9 points on the Kings, and it
What the
is
fuck, dude? We have to redo all these podcasts now. We assumed that the Kings were gonna win.
it's
This ruins
halftime.
everything.
Yeah, man. And you know, you
What
you
the
said it.
fuck?
You're picking the Pelicans if they win over the Thunder, you know.
I will. I'll double down right now. Fuck it. If the Pelicans win, I'll take him over the Thunder. I'm going to assume that Zion somehow plays through his hamstring injury, even though I think that's usually a guaranteed like 3 or 4 weeks missed. But fuck it, I'll take him. I'm in.
Alrighty. Any final thoughts? I'm ready to tune into this Kings Pelicans game. Yeah, it's crazy. It's tomorrow. The playoffs are tomorrow. I thought there was a little break between the play-in and no,
Nope. Game
it's we're
on.
hitting the road running. Is that the saying?
Yeah. It's hitting the ground running, and
Hit
that's
the
like definitely what
ground.
we're doing. So it's like playoffs start tomorrow. It's like we got kind of like the first set tomorrow, rest of the game Sunday, and then from there it's like we got playoff games every day from then on out. So we have tons of basketball content coming, tons of interesting games. We might have to turn up the podcasting a little bit to make sure that we're getting content out there as the matches are unfolding because I assume it's gonna be super interesting. Teams are going to get up early. Things are going to change as the series goes on with these long 7 game series. So it's going to be super interesting. This is what it's all about. This is why you
Yeah.
guys are all subscribed. It's
All
all about
40
playoff
teams.
time. We love all of you. You know, you're what keeps this podcast going. And this is the best part. This is my favorite time of the year. So we're super stoked and we'll keep talking ball for you guys.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get on a weekly schedule. Hopefully we'll do an awards show soon, and of course we'll be happy to talk playoff basketball as it continues to unfold. But yeah, that is the West predictions episode. Obviously, we did the East. Um, any closing thoughts, Harry, before you go tune into this Pelicans Kings game?
Closing thoughts are really just super excited for the playoffs. Also, go Pelicans. Like I said, I've been super hyped on the Pelicans all year, so they can pull this out. Even without Zion, I'd be really interested to see them in a playoff series. So fuck it, go Pelicans. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you're all as excited for the playoffs as we are. And stay tuned for more content. We're coming out with tons of it for the playoffs.
Yes, God bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, fans.